Hey guys, what's up? It's Jacob Topping here live with Matt Sheeran. If you guys don't know Matt, you're about to. And we're going to be talking about the Etsy 30-day challenge today. If you don't know about that, you're about to. But first, I wanted people to get an idea of who's Matt Sheeran. Have you met him before? Do you know who he's about? So Matt, I'm going to give people a brief introduction about you, and then you add
as long as the brief introduction isn't as long as the one you did for Chris Green. That's all I'm saying, Jacob.
No problem.
Okay.
So Matt Sheeran is an expert on the Etsy platform. He's got thousands of dollars and thousands of unit sales on Etsy. Also on Merch by Amazon. He's got a YouTube channel, Merch Elephant. It's got almost 12,000 subscribers and over 300,000 views. He's also one of the co-hosts on the Real Talk YouTube channel with RJ Martinez. Again, it's got almost 11,000 subs and over 450,000 views. He's been featured on the Print to Buy blog. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to check it out. Also featured on the Merch Minds podcast with Glenn and Young, talking about Amazon advertising at the time, episode 123. You can check that out if you want to hear more there. Also, the Merch Shakedown with Jersey Merch back in February.
Oh god, that's a real callback right there.
The idea has been around for a while. So Matt,
I have been around for a while.
Can we talk about Trunk Studio?
What's about?
Am I allowed to mention it?
Trunk Studio? Is that what you mentioned? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
We can talk about that.
All right. So Matt Sheeran and his wife Erin Sheeran, they run an Etsy shop called Trunk Studio. It's got over 2,000 sales. You can buy mock-ups, and those are priced around $5 to $7, roughly. So I don't know.
It depends on what the mock-up is and depends on what's in. It's and it's like 2,000 orders. It translates into probably all told, it's probably over 10,000 sales, I would say, individually of the mock-ups, because it's like the orders are different than just like the sales on Etsy.
All right, so Matt, you're in California. I'm in Canada, up here in Ontario near Ottawa, the capital. What's the temperature like there?
Say it's 94. It's a nice brisk 94 degrees.
It's got to be Fahrenheit. 94.
Yeah, we don't believe in that weak metric system stuff you guys do up in Canada. It's only fair. It's only the English system down here.
That's all right. We had a blistering 27 degrees for Celsius today. It was a bit of a heat wave, so I'm not sure what that is. I think it's in the 70s, 80s, maybe. Mm-hmm. 80s. But it's warm. It's been colder overnight. It's down to 6 degrees above freezing, which is cold. Anyway, so Matt, what can you tell us about yourself that I didn't cover because I didn't want to say too much because I know you like to get straight to the point. You're a straight to the point guy. Tell me about you. Let's say somebody has never heard of you. They don't know who you are. First time, not sure. Who's Matt Sheeran?
I am, at my core, I am a entrepreneur. Like, that is who I am. That is what I've done since I was 23 years old. Basically, I've had a short period where I've worked for a few other people, and it does not fit with who I am. And having worked in corporate America for about 4 years and realizing that that was hell on earth, my goal is to help as many people as possible to escape that, like to not have to work in a situation where they're unhappy, where they wake up every morning and they hate what they do, where they wake up every morning and, rolling out of bed is almost painful because you know that you're going to have to go into a job that you hate. Because the thing is, we spend more of our waking time at work than we do any other period in our life, right? So the people that we're working with, the things that we're doing, that is where we spend the majority of our adult lives. And if the majority of your adult lives is something where you're miserable, you're unhappy, you are stressed, you are, feeling like there is something wrong with your life, that is an awful position to be in, because I've lived that. I've been through that. So that's my why. That's the reason that I do the things that I do. That's the reason I put out the content that I do. That's the reason I help people the way that I do. It's why we started up the Top Secret Research Group, right? It's because we wanted to have a more focused opportunity to help people. And that's the same reason why we're doing the Etsy challenge right now is I want to more...
What's the Top Secret Research Group?
Jacob, you've been out of the loop, bud. The Top Secret Research Group is just that. It's top secret. It's a private group that I run with RJ Martinez that's focused on clearing out the signal to noise ratio that there is on Facebook, right? So like Facebook groups tend to be something that are very noisy without particularly a lot of like high level strategy and useful information, in my opinion. That's where they've gone. They started out a couple years ago. They were pretty good because there weren't quite as many people in there. But when you get 22,000 people in a group like we do in the Merch by Amazon Masterminds Facebook group, sometimes it's difficult to get really clear answers to your questions. So that's why we created the Top Secret Research Group. And in a way, that's what led to the Etsy Challenge. Like the Etsy Challenge came about because we want to be able to help people as quickly as possible get up to speed on the best practices on creating an Etsy business and how to find success, how to not make the mistakes that we did earlier in our careers where we spent long periods of time struggling to figure out exactly what the best practices were. And like, this is the perfect time right now, man. Like, you know what it is. Like, how busy is Q4 with relation to like what the sales are?
10 times.
Easily.
Least.
Like it's,
You're not getting more than 5 times the amount of sales in Q4 that you get in any other quarter, then you're probably doing it wrong. It's the time of year where the majority of people buy the majority of things for themselves.
People are looking to actively spend money in retail. Like that's what it's about, right? So we decided that like now is the perfect time to teach people the system that we use, because we know going into Q4, like if they implement the things we do and they put the hard work in and they actually take action and follow through on the action items that we show them, they can have really good success, like really, really good success. And I mean, in a very short period of time. Like I opened up a store on Etsy last year, right before Black Friday, literally like 5 days before Black Friday. We had probably a total of 55 to 60 items live in the store all the way through December. And on average, we were probably doing between 16 to 24 sales a day on Etsy for a store that literally was brand new. And you guys can be doing the exact same thing. Like you end up in the right niche, you do the research, you do the work that we show you, do the hard work, right? Like, because I don't want to promise that this is going to be easy. It's not. Do the hard work up front and you can have some really, really good success.
So how long has that been running now?
That shop?
Yeah.
We opened it up right before Black Friday last year. So it's a little bit less than a year.
Are you excited about Black Friday this year?
I'm excited for this entire period coming forward. Like Q4 is our Super Bowl. It's the reason we do the things we do. Like, people get excited for Christmas, right? Like they come downstairs, look and see what's under the tree. Like Q4 for us, especially once you get a little closer to Thanksgiving, that's Christmas for basically 25, 30 straight days. It's just cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. If you're doing your job right, if you put the hard work in and make sure that you have a store that actually aligns with what your customers want to buy, make sure your branding's on point, make sure all of the little things that help a cohesive experience for the buyer, make sure that the buyer is comfortable. Like all those things, it just takes care of itself.
100%.
So Jacob is actually going to be doing the challenge with us. Jacob signed up the other day. You're pretty excited, right?
I'm very excited. Since I signed up, I've had trouble sleeping. I stay up until 3, 4 in the morning because I'm excited about the challenge. I've been looking up stuff on Etsy. I've had an Etsy shop for over 2 years. As people, if anybody knows or has talked to me before, I'm on a lot of different print-on-demand platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a book about it, Merch in the World of Print-on-Demand. And Etsy is an area where I need massive improvement, and I'm expecting that improvement through the hard work that it's going to take and taking action within the Etsy 30-day challenge.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I'm excited for you, Jacob. Like you're a really smart guy. And so I think that you have the potential to do really, really well within this format. And the most important thing that I can say for anybody that's considering doing this is like, prepare to put in work, right? Prepare to put in work, prepare to take in action. But the good news for you guys is like, we actually have a plan of attack. Like we understand where the levers are that can really move things for you guys. And you guys just have to basically follow along the steps that we give you and put in the work. You do that, like you're going to significantly improve your business. Like you have a chance to have like a really, really good Q4 by just following along with these steps, step by step by step. And you save yourself so much time and struggle of having to do it on your own and try and figure these things out.
I agree 100%. Something that I've learned over the years, and I think other people have learned this even better than I have, is that when you've got an expert that knows what they're doing and that has gone through and made the mistakes ahead of time and has learned what to do and what not to do, you can absolutely accelerate your progress by learning from them. And when you have a program like the 30-day challenge, I have no doubt that this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sharing this in my Facebook group. 1 second, Jacob. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just realized I hadn't shared it earlier.
This is a live call, guys, broadcast worldwide. So if you're watching live, you can share it. If you're watching the recorded version, because it's going to be recorded, share it. You can share it in your groups, and you can share it on your personal page. You can share it wherever. The reason I put it on my personal page, which is outside of my private Facebook group, is that people can share it. You can see it. You don't have to be in a closed group to.
Correct. Exactly. If you guys have any questions too, like feel free to ask. Like that's the reason that we're doing this. It's a little bit more intimate than some of the interviews that we've been doing regularly, where it's 5 or 6 people on that interview. So it's a little bit harder sometimes to get questions in. So if you guys do have questions, go ahead and throw them in. More than happy to answer anything that you guys have. I see my boy Joseph Gallegos in the chat. So thank you, brother. Good to see you.
Absolutely. So we've got 8 people watching right now. We've got some lurkers, which is fine. If you're lurking, you want to say hello, you want to ask any questions to Matt or myself, or maybe somebody else that's watching, go ahead and ask your questions in the chat. It is live.
I would expect for it to pick up a little bit once it goes live within my group. Let me make sure that it's actually there.
Sure.
There it is. Yeah, we'll pick up some viewers now. Cool. So anyways, guys, if you're just joining from the Merch by Amazon Mastermind Facebook group, I'm talking with Jacob Topping. He wanted to do a little interview with me about who I am and why we're doing the things that we're doing and why we're doing the Etsy challenge, etc. I know that a lot of you guys have probably tuned in to some other lives that we've done, but Jacob thought it would be a good idea to do some one-on-one stuff so you guys could ask some questions and get to know the coaches a little bit better.
That's right.
So if you guys have any questions, please drop them into chat. For those of you guys that don't know, Jacob's he's been a little under the scene for a little bit. So if you're new on the scene, you may not have seen Mr. Topping before. Jacob released a book 2 years ago?
Almost 3 years ago.
Almost 3 years ago about merch, print on demand. It's like the encyclopedia of print on demand, right? So if you are interested in anything to do with print on demand regarding like platforms, like Jacob, I think does a pretty good job of explaining what the different platforms are and what they do. So just want to give you a little shout out there. It's a very useful book.
I appreciate it, Matt. The book's 365 pages. It's not a short leaflet. It goes in depth in more than 40 different print on demand platforms, including Etsy. But as we discussed earlier in the call, Etsy, I would say, is a platform that I personally am not the strongest on. So even in the book, I refer people to other courses and books that people have put together. And I'm looking to learn quite a bit about Etsy itself and how to optimize it, how to get a better Etsy experience for my buyers.
I think the biggest difference between Etsy and some of the other platforms is, so like you go to Redbubble or you go to Cafe Press or you go to Teespring, right? And you're not really building a store, right? All of those places are platforms, they're marketplaces, your designs are hosted on it, but you're not really, you can build it on their stores, but like most people go and they just go into the marketplace and look for designs. Etsy is so store specific. Yes, people are looking for things inside the actual search results, but more often than not, because they're used to the way that Etsy works, like they go inside your store to see what else you have. And I think that is where the disconnect is for a lot of people coming over from Merch by Amazon and a lot of people coming over from different platforms, is like there's a lot more work that's involved in getting things right with that to give it the customer like the right experience. All too often I see people come over from Merch and they depend on like just using the mock-ups that come from Printify or Printful, right? Like they just push directly from those platforms because it's easier, but it doesn't mean that it's better.
They're different.
It's a different game. It's very different from merch. And I think that's the learning curve that is for a lot of people that they struggle with, is like we refer to merch, like in my circle, like merch is kind of e-commerce in diapers. Like it really is. It's very simple. At the end of the day, basically you're uploading a design, you have to do some keywords, that's it. Amazon takes care of all the rest. Etsy is more like e-commerce on training wheels, even though it's a marketplace, even though it has organic traffic. there's a lot of details that you have to take care of that are not anything like what you've dealt with before if you've done merch or any other POD. You know, having to do customer service, having to go through and make sure that all of your product photography is on point, right? Because they don't provide the mock-ups like many of these other sites. You have to make sure that you provide a mock-up, you provide a product photography that actually sells your stuff.
It's true. So Etsy, I want to back this up a little bit because
Good.
I know you've talked about this with multiple live sessions before, but there's a lot of people that are maybe watching this that haven't seen those before. So you've sold quite a bit on Merch by Amazon before you got into Etsy. What was your motivation? What made you go into Etsy, and what did you find when you went there? Because it is a totally different platform, right? It
is a totally different platform. So the first time that we ventured into Etsy was in Q4 in December of 2017. Merch by Amazon had frozen the platform. We weren't allowed to upload. We couldn't make any price edits. We couldn't do anything basically with the platform, right? So we had a bunch of extra time on our hands. We were used to working on Merch by Amazon constantly. So we opened up an Etsy store, let it run for a little bit, had a couple sales, but really didn't do a whole lot. And then we came back out of Q4, merch unfroze us. We went back to work on merch, and Merch by Amazon, as they're very famous for now, like broke the shit. Like literally broke the entire platform. Nothing was selling. Nothing was moving. Like I was running AMS ads. Like I'm really good at AMS ads, and I couldn't even get stuff to sell that way. Like I was spending a lot of money to get sales, and it just didn't make any sense. Like we were basically break even to losing money at that point with AMS. And I was talking with my wife because it felt like we were literally in a black hole. Like we were just throwing things up there and nothing was coming back. Nothing was selling. I was like, we got to do something. Like this was a big part of our plan. Like we came out of 2017 into 2018 and we're like, we are going to crush merch. We're going to make so much money. Like this is going to be the thing for us. We're going to grow it. It's going to be the thing that provides like a really stable income for us. Because in the year prior, for people that weren't around back, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was very steady. You'd upload something, like for every 5 things you uploaded, you would get a sale on a new item. Like it was very linear. The more that you uploaded, the more sales you got. So we just knew like we were just going to upload a ton, build out a bunch of different listings, and just, basically make some really good money once we got up that core basis for our business. Well, 2018 comes around and everything is broken. And we're not getting any sales. And I was like, we got to do something. Like, we can't continue to do what we're doing. So we decided to try out Etsy. Like, we had a couple friends that had been doing Etsy at the time. One person in particular we knew who was crushing Etsy. Like, he had no success on Merch by Amazon, but within like 3 months, he was up to like $5,000 a month in profit on Etsy. And me and RJ were both kind of talking back and forth, and we're like, all right, we need to check this out. We need to see what's going on. So we started up on Etsy, and my wife, who had an Etsy store before.
Who's this mystery person? Do we know who this person is?
He is not in the public, and he does not want to be revealed.
I know who you're talking about. All right, that's good.
Actually, I'd probably bet money that you don't, but
I'll take that bet.
I would bet a significant sum of money that you don't know who it is, Jacob.
I'll bet you $5 Canadian.
$5 Canadian.
Yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards.
All right, you can message me afterwards. Anyways,
go ahead.
I know I'm
decided to go on Etsy.
I'm going back into my train of thought. So, anyways, my wife had an Etsy store prior to this, where she had done digital downloads and artwork sales. It was never anything big. It was kind of a side project. It's kind of what stumbled us into Merch by Amazon by accident, and so we kind of went back to it, and we started consulting with some of our friends, because we do have friends who do a lot of stuff in graphic design, marketing, all of that stuff, right? And so I have a friend who is a VP of marketing for a company down in Dallas. She deals with AT&T and a couple other big companies, and we were just like, do me a favor. Like, let's start talking branding. Let's start exploring the things that we don't really know. I know it's important, but I don't know what I don't know, right? So she helped us like tear down from the very top to bottom exactly what we were doing, who our target audience was, who our customer was, how our store should look, all of those things, right? Like, we started to incorporate that into everything that we did. We started thinking about things as more like a brand versus just an individual shop with a bunch of listings inside of it. And lo and behold, once we started to do that, once we stopped being this like general store that had a hodgepodge of stuff in it, and we were very specific, had a very targeted audience, suddenly we started making sales. We started making sales very quickly. And from that point, we never looked back. Like, it was one of those things, much like Merch by Amazon. Etsy scaled for us linearly. The more work we put in, the more money we made. So we worked on that store, worked on that store, worked on that store. And then we hit a point where, because again, we're doing a niche store where it's very targeted, we felt like some of the stuff that we had that my wife, who was very creative, wanted to put up didn't really fit within that store, which is why we opened up that second store last year, right before Black Friday, because we had a bunch of other things that she was into. This is what we talk about all the time, right? Like, you want to design for the things that you have interest in, the things that you have knowledge in, right? Because it gives you an advantage. Yeah. That's definitely true with us in both of these stores. It's like both of these stores are very specific about things that we know, love, and understand. And so we opened up the second store, the exact same thing. Like, now we didn't have to depend on our friend for that branding knowledge because we had already gone through it, right? Like, we'd already gone through the fire. We understood the process. We understood how important all of that stuff was, and very quickly got the store up, got it running. And again, because it was a very targeted, very niche store, I think it resonated with the audience very quickly. When they went to that store, when you clicked on one listing and you go inside the store, all the rest of the listings made sense to that buyer. So the beauty of that, the thing that's really nice about that is when somebody's going into your store and all of the listings make sense, suddenly they're more likely to buy more than one item. You start getting multiple orders. That really racks up the profit margin.
And bundles.
Correct. Yeah, so we are very big on bundles. I think that all too many times people depend on single products, and when you have just a single product out there, very often it becomes a commodity. It's very hard to tell the difference between that product and a competitor's product from the consumer's perspective. Whereas a bundle, it's something that adds a lot more value to the item, and you're not competing on a one-to-one basis with the other person.
Agreed. That's just one of the things that Etsy offers that some of the other print-on-demand platforms don't offer. You can do bundles. You can customize your store to make it look the way you want. You can
carry whatever you want in it.
I know you're analytics guys, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think about the analytics and the feedback you get from Etsy and the ability to check and see where the traffic's coming from and see what's happening on Etsy?
I think the most important part of that feedback is actually you have the ability to talk to the customer, right? So you have the ability to have one-on-one conversations with your customer. And because the customers are going into this expecting to deal with smaller shops, I find that the customers, are much more understanding if something goes wrong, right? Like, I very rarely have a negative experience with a customer. And B, they're much more likely to just reach out directly and ask you a question. Whereas a lot of times customers will assume that it's a big company. They're not going to get an answer that they want in terms of customer service, and they won't even ask. So we get so much information from customers by being able to just be open and available and quickly respond to them. And I think it's one of the things that people like really miss with Etsy. Like, they think of customer service as a burden or customer service as a negative. Like, customer service is literally the best weapon you have for quickly growing your store and getting reviews. Like, if you provide fantastic customer service, you provide customer service that you wish you had when you had an interaction with somebody else that was selling you something, like, it's going to turn into a good review more often than not.
RJ Martinez is watching live. He says, yo, what's up? Just a reminder, guys, this is a live video. This is not recorded. Not yet, but it will be. So if you're watching the recording, you should share it. If you're watching live, you might want to share it. Just wanted to say hi to RJ. I know he likes to say hello.
You should share it. You never know what's going to happen.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen with Jacob Topping.
It's a mystery.
For sure. So do we have any questions, guys? I can't really see the comments. Let's see.
So far, we got Emily said, I wish I got a notification when you guys went live. Hope you're all well. Amy says, hi, guys. Ismail says, Etsy is where you can start your brand and learn to run a real online shop. Etsy is a real business. That's exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
Totally agree. Jessica says, start using the nicer mock-ups for sure. Started out using these super ugly Printful mock-ups and just overhauled over 100 listings with nice professional mock-ups and size charts. So, Matt, mock-ups probably better than most people on Etsy. You've got a whole store that does mock-ups, right?
Yep.
You've got the Trunk Studio. And proof of concept, sales speak for themselves. You got over 2,000 sales on your Etsy shop for the Trunk Studio. So people are using mock-ups, and the reason they're using them is because they work, right?
Yeah, I would say that the thing that stands out the most with that store, the thing that surprised me the most, is the amount of repeat business we get, and also not just repeat business, but repeat businesses from shops that are like very established on Etsy. Like I'm talking about shops that have 40,000 to 50,000 sales on Etsy all time, and every time we post a new set of mockups, they're in there buying those mockups. They're doing that for a reason. Like they've had a lot of sales, they've had a lot of experience, they're doing very well, and they want to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward with their customer. They want to make sure that their items stand out in search. They're not blah basic. That there's something that's different and unique. And that is one of the gifts my wife has. My wife is very talented at doing layout and design and figuring out how to make your stuff stand out on the page.
So she makes all those?
Yes. Yeah, my wife has a business partner, Jasmine, who helps her out in it. But those are the only two that do any of the creative. My wife shoots probably about 70% of it, I would say.
If somebody's just tuning in and you've never met Matt before, you should check out Chunk Studio at Etsy. It's called Chunk Studio. One word, Chunk Studio, but all one word. So, Matt, speaking of mock-ups, the Etsy 30-day challenge gives people 3 fall-themed markups, correct?
Correct. It actually gives you 4. So my wife put together the bundle and didn't realize it was supposed to be 3. So there's actually an extra one. You actually have an extra added bonus in there that we haven't mentioned. I don't think anybody's mentioned it because they don't want us to take it away, but like it's gone live already. We're going to keep it there for you guys. So you actually get 4 fall mockups to help you guys start off your shop right. Make sure that you guys have good looking mockups when you guys are starting off in the challenge. If you guys are going to be doing t-shirts, right? Like there's so many different ways of doing things with print on demand, but we wanted to give you guys something to start out with so you didn't have to depend on the basic stuff that came from most providers.
We got a question from the audience. RJ Martinez asked, what is Matt looking forward to in the challenge? And sorry if this was already asked.
I'm looking forward to the challenge starting. So many of you guys may not realize this, but the reason that we campaign so hard for people to come into the challenge is because we feel like it can make a really big difference in their life. And that's the reason that we're doing this. I prefer the teaching portion of this stuff versus this stuff right here, right? Like I would much rather be working with people and seeing them improve and seeing them grow versus like doing a bunch of interviews. So I'm looking forward to it starting. Like I'm looking forward to seeing people get their shops up and see people have sales start to come in. Because it's really exciting. Like when people start to have success, it's infectious. Like in that private group, it's a very positive place because we really fight to keep it that way. And when people start to have success, everybody gets fired up. Like everybody else goes after it even harder.
What's this private Facebook group? What are you talking about?
So the private Facebook group is a part of the Etsy challenge. So if you join the Etsy challenge, you get access to this private Facebook group where you get to ask your questions based on whatever the training was we had for the day. You get to interact with other people within the actual challenge. So the nice thing about that is you have a group of peers who are going through the exact same process as you. They're going through the same training. They're all in the same spot, right? So if you have a question to ask, more often than not, they're going to be able to answer that question even quicker than we can. It's just a very supportive, very positive place. And the last 2 challenges that we've done with KDP, I think it's the thing that gets undervalued when we include it in the value stack, right? Like we throw it in there and most people are like, whatever, it's a private Facebook group. I'll tell you right now, every single person that went through that KDP challenge will tell you that the most valuable bonus they got, the thing that they value the most, is that private Facebook group.
And that's included with the 30-day Etsy challenge.
Correct, exactly.
So Matt, let's people are getting crazy here in the comments that they've realized it's a live call. They can make it. They say something, and then all of a sudden we can answer their question. I don't want to answer all the questions because that'd be crazy. Dwight asks, are the mock-ups for a specific type of shirt?
So the mock-ups that are included with the bonus are for Bella Canvas shirts. However, we carry mock-ups for quite a few different brands. Gildan, several different types of Gildans. We carry a bunch of different tank tops, et cetera, next level shirts, anvil shirts, et cetera. So there's a wide variety of products that you can choose. The ones that we included are the ones that we find most of the audience enjoys. Like they like using the Bella Canvas. It's a really nice shirt.
It's Bella Canvas, very popular shirts.
We get asked like from our customers, like that's one of the questions when people are asking about brands. A lot of times they lead with that. They want to know if it is a Bell and Canvas shirt or if it's Gildan.
Yeah, big names in the blankets side of things with print on demand. Okay, Melinda asks, I think I'm ready to jump in, but I'm trying to decide, do I want a niche store or a general store? How many different designs would you suggest having ready to start on Etsy?
So I'm pretty outspoken about this. Like, I think that the way to start and have consistent success is to go niche versus broad, especially as more competition gets on the platform. The more that you can niche down and serve a particular audience, the more likely you are to have an advantage. In terms of the number of designs, I think it's very much an it depends question. As I was telling Jacob earlier on the call, we launched a store right before Black Friday, literally 5 days before Black Friday.
Yeah.
When Black Friday happened, we probably had about 45 designs live. By the end of December, we probably had about 65 to 70. And that was how it was through the entire period of Q4. And we were regularly popping off, 19 to 25 sales a day in that store. Now we know what we're doing. Like, we have all of the kind of like tricks and optimizations and everything else figured out. I'm not saying that's exactly what you should plan on or you can guarantee it. However, I think it's a lot less designs than people think coming over from the Merch by Amazon side, right? On the Merch by Amazon side, we tell people, like, unless you're in tier 500, don't expect to make any kind of profit really. And unless you're in like probably tier 4K to tier 6K, like, you're not consistently making money. Both of my stores on Etsy right now have less than 200 designs live in them. And they consistently do probably anywhere between 5 to 10 sales a day in a period where it's not very busy right now. When it gets busy, like, they go off easily 20, 30, 40 shirts a day.
And with each sale, I know on Merch by Amazon, a lot of people are on Merch by Amazon. It's super popular. People like it because you get an Amazon listing. But with Etsy, all those sales that you're getting, you're making more per sale than you would.
You make significantly more per sale. Yeah, you make significantly more per sale. I do think that it's a little bit of a misnomer that what people think in terms of profit margin, because a lot of people get fooled by Printful. Printful tells you like a profit margin that you get off of a sale, and they don't calculate in any of the fees or anything else. It's always wrong. So that number is always inflated. I would say that the average profit, it obviously depends on what you're going to charge for the sale. Our average profit per sale is probably about $8 a shirt, which is still really solid when you consider Merch by Amazon, like, it's regularly less than $4.
Imagine getting $8 profit per shirt on Merch by Amazon.
That would be amazing. I'd be a lot more interested in Merch by Amazon.
What will be the price for that? $23.99.
Something like that. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the royalties in a long time. We haven't changed prices in a long time. Yeah, I think the $19.99
shirt on Merch by Amazon gives you $5.18.
Right. Yeah.
So it's going to be higher than.
I think one of the biggest mistakes people make with Etsy is not actually understanding the math. Dwight, I am not going to tell you to sign up. I just saw your comment. Not because I don't want you to sign up, but I did see your post earlier in Jacob's group. I think it was Jacob shared it with me, and I do want to address this because I want people to have success, and I don't want people to feel like they are overwhelmed. And the challenge can very quickly become overwhelming if you are not prepared to dedicate yourself to the process. If you're prepared to dedicate yourself to the process, go all in and really focus on it, then it becomes transformational. It can make a massive difference in your business. But if you're trying to juggle 5 or 6 different things while you're doing it, it's going to be difficult. Like, it's a lot of work. It's hard. And the reason I want you guys to focus, the reason I want you guys to commit, is because that's how you're going to get the most out of it. Like, that is how you're going to actually get massive results. So I want people that are going to sign up, like, I want them to be in a position to have success. I want them to feel like they're ready to dedicate themselves for the next 30 days to go all in to learn this platform, to take the next 30 days and shortcut the learning curve. So instead of spending 6 months to a year to develop mastery on the platform, coming out of that next 30 days and saving 6 months. Like, that's the idea, right? Like, at the end of the day, the challenge is about saving you guys time. It's about teaching you guys skills that have taken us, years in some cases to learn in the next 30 days. So it's going to be pretty intense.
It is intense to both learn and take the action in a concentrated 30-day time.
Correct. And I mean, like, this is the other thing I've been telling people too, because I want to make sure people know what they're getting into when they sign up, right? Like, we're not here to wipe anybody's bottom, right? Like, we're not here to handhold with you guys and take you by the hand and walk every little tiny little step with you guys, right? Like, we're going to give you guys the tools, we're going to give you guys the principles, but what we're going to do is we're going to force you guys to work. Because it, like the saying, like, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach a man to fish and it'll eat for life. Like, there's a lot of truth in that. Like, there's a lot of truth in that. Figuring out the process and figuring out how to come up with those answers and understanding the principles, right? So the baseline principles that allow you to make good decisions in terms of what you're doing, those are the things that allow people to fish, allow people to eat for the rest of their life on Etsy, because they'll be able to actually figure out when there's a problem. You're not going to have to come back to us and have you guys have us spoon feed you guys whenever there's an issue.
You got to learn the basics.
Everything is iterative. Everything builds on top of itself, right? So we start off with principles. We start off with the principles of branding and what makes a good shop. And then everything else builds on top of that. And like Nicolas says, like, Etsy's a lot. If you're not ready to work, don't do it. But if you want to make money while learning, then do it. Because that's the thing. Like, you have the potential to start making money in that shop almost instantly. It's crazy. Like, when you have the things drilled in with the branding and everything else, you'll be surprised. Like, I expect a lot of people to make the money back from the challenge if they do the work before the end of the challenge is up.
If they don't do the work, they're not going to see the results. If they do the work,
it's like anything. Like, right? Like, when you go to the gym and you sit on the machine all day and don't do anything, you don't expect to lose weight. You don't expect to get strength, right? Like, the only way that you get stronger is by actually going through and putting yourself through that pain, putting yourself through that hard work, putting yourself through that sweat and grit, right? And it sucks at the beginning. It's painful. It hurts. It aches. You don't want to get up in the morning because everything hurts. But like, by the end of the 30 days, you're significantly stronger. You're in a better place. Everything works better. It's the same process, right? Like, through struggle, we gain capacity. We gain the ability to do more.
Agreed. All right. So, Matt, I don't want to make this a long call. I just wanted people to get an idea. Who's Matt Sheeran? Who's this guy? I noted that you haven't been a member in my Facebook group. We've got like 13,000 people learning about.
I haven't been a member in any Facebook group outside of my own, Jacob, for probably the last 6 months or so. I left everything about 6 months ago when I decided to concentrate full time on the top secret research group. But we're doing so many lives in so many different places. I want to make sure that if anybody has questions, they have access to ask either myself or Dion or Jay. And I just want to say thanks to Michael Turner. He said these guys are fantastic teachers. Have done both challenges. They've paid off. I remember Michael from the KDP challenges. Like, again, the people that have gone through the challenges and put the work out, like, you'll see their comments all the time. Like, if you look on any of our lives, or if you look at even in some of the Facebook groups, like, people are talking about the results they've had from the prior challenges. The process works.
That's why it's a process.
Can you post Melinda's question up there?
Sure. The silly question one?
Yep, that one right there.
It says, maybe a silly question, but is the budget needed in order to pay for the pod products? Or is there a way to arrange the timeline to float the money received from a sale?
I would say that you starting out definitely need to have some money set aside for a budget to do this. There is a way to kind of float things with PayPal. RJ was talking about it last night. No big surprise. RJ's a hustler. Like, he knows how to do some of this stuff. There is a way to do it, but I feel more comfortable just telling people, like, you should have some money set aside for it. I don't think it's a tremendous amount. Like, I was talking with a member of my group the other day, and he said, I started on Etsy with $100, and I basically just sat on that $100, reinvested all the money back into it. And by the time you start getting daily payouts, which is fairly quick, I want to say it's within 3 months from Etsy, and maybe even be quicker than that. It doesn't really matter. But
it's included now.
What's that?
Daily payouts are included now.
I don't know if they optimize it right away. I think when you first open up a shop, there's a little bit of a delay.
Maybe. But either the payouts are quick with Etsy.
The payouts are much quicker than Merch by Amazon. Absolutely. So as soon as you can, start requesting those daily payouts. So you don't really need to request a whole lot of float. But you should plan to set aside some money for it. It is a regular business, right? Like, we are drop shipping. So we're going to pay for the product first before we actually receive the money from Etsy. The good news is, like, you get good profit margins. So very quickly, it compounds if you're not taking any money out of your business.
We got comments rolling in now. This is a live call. These start to get heated up here. Again, we have a limited amount of time, so I want to get into what's included on the challenge, but a couple people doing some shout outs. Daniel Martinez, not related to RJ Martinez as far as we know. He says this altitude challenge sounds great.
I agree. If you notice, Amy Herberger says, I can't wait for this to start. We were talking about this the other night. I think it speaks a lot to the product in the sense that, so all of the people that are doing interviews with us and talking to us and everything else, a lot of them are going through the challenge with us. Like Amy's going through the challenge with us. Matt Carlett's going through the challenge with us. You're going through the challenge with us, right? Yep. Like there are a ton of people who are leaders who do very well in print on demand, and they're going through the challenge with us because they want to raise their game. They want to make sure that they know as much as they possibly can to prepare for Q4.
Why wouldn't we?
I agree. I understand completely. I think that's the thing that a lot of times people, the mistake of time, a lot of times people make is, well, this information is out there, right? And some of it is, a lot of it is. But the thing is, you have to go out and watch a ton of information, watch a ton of YouTube videos, and figure out who you can actually believe, who you should trust to start incorporating these processes.
You know, you can save yourself a lot of time and effort by getting the concentrated information from the experts that are already making huge sales, right?
I mean, yeah, and you know the thing I think that that I really try and focus on too. Like, yes, we are successful at this, right? Like we walk the talk, we do the things we say we do, but more importantly than that, I'm really good at teaching people how to do these things. Like I'm good at explaining these concepts. I'm good at helping people understand why certain things are important versus other things. And I think that's the thing I take a lot of pride in is that the students that I've had that have gone through this process with us, they've had success. I care more about my students' success than I do my own personal numbers. Like when you guys go through this process, and this is true of Jay, Dion, and RJ, like all of us are much more concerned with the product that we're putting out there, and the amount of work we put into this behind the scenes speaks to that. Like we have spent probably over a month going back and forth of dissecting exactly day by day what we're going to teach you guys, how we're going to teach it, what the important things are, cutting things out, adding things in. And that's all because like our names are on this. And anytime I put my name on something, anytime I put something out there, like it needs to be the best. It needs to be something that gives ridiculous value that helps people out.
It's key. If you don't put out good content, if people don't learn and grow, people don't have success, they are not going to buy anything in the future, and they are not going to be happy with you.
The internet is forever too. That's the thing, right? Like the internet is forever. Like
the internet's got a long memory.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to forget that. Nicholas's comment there is very good too. If you can highlight that real quick for me, Jacob.
Sure. Nicholas says, have a budget for listing fees, credit card setup for upfront costs of the items sales sold. Yeah,
so I would advise most people that are getting into this and want to be serious about it, you should definitely have a credit card that has some kind of a point structure so you can get some extra money back on top of the money that you're spending. But also you need to be very disciplined with that, right? Like you need to make sure that you're not allowing that to rack up and put you in debt. But it is a way to optimize things and basically have that float. But at the same time, to start getting a little extra money, have a little bit of extra wiggle room in terms of profit. And then Melinda, is the challenge going to be recorded, posted, or is it live at a certain time?
Whoa. What about Emily Robbins? Bro, whose call is this, Matt? You have your own show. You got your thing. You have guests all the time.
Hey, man, this is what I do. I just take things over.
All right. Emily Robbins says, truth, Matt is an amazing teacher. But
I appreciate that.
But that's okay. We'll go to Melinda. Melinda says, is the challenge going to be recorded and posted, or is it live at certain times? Good question.
Okay, so it is going to be live every single morning at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern. However, it is recorded. So you will see the recordings go live instantly in the Facebook group as soon as we're done with it. So you guys have the ability to watch it at any time, go back through it. If you can't make it for a particular day, for example, you can go back in and watch that recording at any time.
Live and recorded.
Yep. So as much as you can, I'm encouraging people, if you can make the lives, you should, because it gives you an opportunity to have a different perspective than if you're watching it in a recording. You have the ability to actually ask some questions. If you don't understand something, you can instant answer, etc. But it's not required. Like we've had people that have gone through the KDB challenge that like they really couldn't make the lives because of their work, their jobs, whatever, right? But they went through and watched the recordings and did the action items every single day and still had lots of success.
So some people will not be available during the live recordings. They can watch the recorded versions, but there's an advantage of having the live because you can interact live.
I mean, I think it's like anything, right? Like if it's live, you're more likely to pay attention because you don't have the ability to go back and rewind really quickly or whatever. I think that the thing that people the thing I noticed the most, right? The one thing that was a very good KPI, key performance indicator, were the people that I got to know their names by the end of the challenge, because every single morning when I signed on and started to drink my coffee with them, and me and RJ were drinking coffee, those people that lasted all the way through the challenge, more often than not, those were the people that were posting bigger numbers by the end of the challenge. Does that make sense?
They're taking action and they got results.
And that's the cool thing, right? Is like 30 days straight of you getting up early in the morning, or depending on where you're at, right? But consistently showing up day after day after day and putting in the work, you build habits. And habits, like consistency, is literally the most important habit you can have if you want to be successful in anything, right? Consistency over perfection, consistently showing up day after day after day. Most people overestimate what they can get done in a year and underestimate what they can get done in a decade. Like that's a Tony Robbins saying that is totally true.
You know, Matt, I've been consistently doing something myself. You heard about this?
What have you been doing? I've heard you've been swimming a lot.
He's heard about the swimming, guys. So it's true. Every day, 7 days a week, I've been swimming. I've made it into a habit through consistency, and I'm getting the results. So it's not for 1 week, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've been swimming 7 days a week, every single day, for months.
Yeah.
And it works because you build a habit, and you do it whether you feel like it or not. Right? Do you ever find sometimes you get up and you're like, I don't really feel like doing this, and then you do it anyways because it's a habit, because you committed to it, and because you want to take the action that gets you the results?
After a certain point too, like you reach a point where you're like, I've done this for so long, it would piss me off if I missed this day. It would be stupid. Can you post Adrian's question?
Well, maybe. Let's take a look. Yep. Adrian says, will there be a cap limit on the number of participants?
So yeah, this is something that's a little bit different than we did from the KDP challenge. And it has mostly to do with the fact it's the first time that we've done this, and we want to make sure we can provide, again, as much value as possible for everybody going through it. So we decided to cap it at 700 members. I think that we'll hit that, and I actually think we might even hit it before we close the cart on September 29th. But we decided, like, in order to give people as much value as possible, we wanted to make sure that we didn't get overwhelmed with the number of questions we were going to have. So that is the absolute maximum. That's exactly however many people we're going to take. I like I said, I do expect it to actually hit that number before the cart closes on the 29th. So if you are considering it, I would take action.
Nicholas wants to know, but have you been swimming? Yes. That came up. People were asking, am I really swimming? So I did live videos on Bigo, which is a live video streaming service, and I swam with my camera recording the swim. Cheryl says, I'll be signing up today.
Nice, Cheryl.
Steve says, what about winter? I don't swim in the winter. The water is frozen. Dwight says, river swimming. That's right. That's dedication. Okay. Jacob Topping says, join the challenge here. So there's a link. If you want to join the challenge, you can. But I really want to let people know what is it. So I'm gonna tell you what I think it is, and then Matt's gonna either true or false. We'll make it a little fun here. So true or false? The Etsy 30-day challenge is 30 days.
It is 30 days.
Okay, so it runs from September the 30th to October the 30th.
Correct. That's true.
At the end of the 30-day challenge, I can watch the recordings forever because I'm lazy.
That is false. So, so we, the reason it's called a challenge and the reason it's called a 30-day challenge is you have 30 days of live training to go through the process with us, 30 straight days. At the end of it, at day 31, all of the content is taken out of the group. Every single bit of it, because it's the only thing I've found that actually forces people day after day to go through and watch the videos, to go through and take the action. Because if there's not that incentive, if they don't know that they're going to lose all that content, then what they end up doing is, I can skip a day here, I can skip a day there. Like, it is the one thing I know consistently over time forces people to take action. And it's a little bit of a, how do I want to put it? It's a little bit of a pain point, right? Like, because you're like, I paid for this. I get that. But because you paid for it, you've made an investment. And because you've made that investment, you don't want to lose that investment. Every single day you start to show up and watch the videos and take action on it because you know you don't want to miss out on all of this super valuable content that can really help your business out. And that's the thing. It's like the challenge, yes, we're calling it the Etsy challenge, right? But so much of this stuff is principles. So much of this stuff is going to help you with every single business that you're in. Because again, like I said, they're principles and strategies. They're not just tactics. They're not something specific for Etsy sometimes. A lot of times it's very foundational stuff that we're teaching. We're teaching you guys how to have success with your business in e-commerce.
All right, continue on with the true or false. There'll be a private Facebook group.
There will be a private Facebook group. That's true.
It's the private Facebook group is already available to people who have joined the challenge.
It is open, yes. However, I will say that it is not something that is super active right now until the challenge starts. It's going to be pretty calm.
All right. If you want to skip the challenge, you can join the Facebook group anyways because you like private Facebook groups. True or false?
That is false. Yeah, that is not true. The only way you have access to it is to go through the challenge.
All right. There's a branding webinar.
There is a branding webinar. Yeah,
Tell us about the branding webinar. Who's this branding person?
Dion Baker. So Dion is one of our partners in this. She actually comes from a corporate advertising job. She used to work with Ford, and she is a master at branding. That is her specialty. Like that is her genius, right? She is somebody who can explain exactly how to go through and brand your shop and why the advantages of having a branded shop and how all of that stuff works together. Dion gives talks on this all the time. Like she's been paid over $2,000 to give a single speech on branding. She's an expert. Like she is a certified Shopify expert. Like she's somebody that teaches people how to build businesses. So let me
just pause there because some people are like audio dyslexia. So in order to get the branding webinar by Dion, do they have to pay an extra $2,000?
No, it's included in the challenge. I mean, it is worth, I think, quite frankly, like I would spend over $97 for that video. I spend a lot of money on training because I believe entrepreneurship is about self-improvement. So, for example, in a couple weeks, I'm going to go down to LA for a Shopify event that's 6 hours long. That's going to be $200. This, I think, is comparable to that. You're getting that same level of training. Like Dee could speak at that Shopify event about branding. She
is a branding expert and a certified Shopify trainer, and she's part of the 30-day challenge.
Correct.
For no extra money, right? That's just, you pay the $97, get in the 30-day challenge.
Yes, it's included in the challenge.
Okay. What about influencer marketing?
Yeah, so my friend Jasmine Davis, who has been in PR and influencer marketing for the last 10 years, she's actually going to come in and talk to you guys about influencer marketing, like what it is, how it works, how to target the influencers within your niches and figure out which ones are the best ones to work for you, and then how to reach out to them and start structuring your agreements so that they can promote your stuff to their audience. This is what Jasmine has done for years, and she's amazing. Like she's spoken a couple times before to various events that have been private. So I'm excited to show it to a little bit wider audience. So Jasmine regularly charges $500 for an hour-long call about this stuff. She's agreed to come in and do it to you guys. And you guys actually get to keep this webinar and the branding webinar. So unlike the rest of the content, which is going to disappear at the end of 30 days, we feel like those two items are so important and there's going to be so much knowledge that's dropped within these webinars. We want you guys to be able to go back and review and make sure that you guys understand all the things and be able to implement the things we're trying to teach.
All right. What if people have questions? Is this all, it's live, right? So 30 days of live videos?
30 days of live videos. However, that is true. I guess we're supposed to be doing true false, right, Jacob? I'm not very good at this game.
No, that's okay. You know, we're learning. We're here together, right? Again, many people who are watching this, for whatever reason, they're just learning about this for the first time. Maybe this video is seen in places where they have never heard of the challenge before. It's possible.
It is possible, for sure, absolutely. So yes, it's 30 days of live training. However, what we are doing is, so there will be a daily thread for every single video, right? Because we want to keep things organized. If you have a question about something, somebody probably also has the same question. So you'll be able to ask questions within those daily threads, but also because we know sometimes not all of those questions are going to get answered, or you may have a question that doesn't necessarily apply within those daily threads. Every week we're going to do an AMA with the 4 of us where Ask Me Anything, where you guys can ask your questions. We go through it and we try and answer as many of them as we possibly can to give you guys as much information, as much feedback as possible.
Are you looking forward to Ask Me Anything?
I like it. I'm looking forward to the whole process, Jacob. Like, I really am. I'm not looking forward to 6 a.m. Even though I'm a morning person, for 30 days straight like that, it is a grind. Like,
let's be clear. This is Pacific Standard Time, 6 a.m. Right? If you're in Ontario or New York or Florida, it's not 6 a.m. Right?
Correct. It's a little easier. It's a little easier if you're in a different time zone. Yes. But the reason we're doing that is because we do have a lot of viewers from overseas. And if we were to do it a little bit later, then it puts a lot more stress on them to be able to be awake and be live for these things.
Excellent. And they'll have all day to take action, right?
That's the idea. Like, you have the morning basically to go through the training, then you have all day to go through and take action, ask questions, whatever, and then we start the next piece of training, which builds on the prior training the day before.
And if you're in the central time zone, it's at 8 a.m.
Sure. If you need to figure out what time it is, you can just Google machine it, and it will go through and tell you exactly what time it is. And Nabil, I saw your question earlier. That's something I can't comment on. I know that Etsy has a habit of closing down shops that were just recently opened. If you can email them and ask them what's going on. A lot of times what ends up happening is within a couple days, they reactivate the shop. That's happened to a couple members of my top secret research group. They haven't given us clear reason why they do it. What I will say is make sure that you're filling out all of the information within the shop. Make sure that you're disclosing any printing partners you're using, etc. Follow their rules. But I wouldn't panic about the shop being deactivated. I think it's just a security measure on their part. They're just doing some background checks or something. But like I said, I've had a number of people that I've talked to that this has happened to, and then they just reactivated the shop a couple days later.
All right. I just want to point out the bill, whose question you just answered, also likes to say, I like how Jacob Topping is handling the interview with the questions and answers. Because it gets straight to the point, right? None of this distraction storytelling. Okay, Matt. Teresa Rose. We haven't said anything about Teresa Rose. I don't even think it's on the challenge webpage.
It isn't, because it happened after. Yeah, it happened after we opened up.
Teresa Rose, and what the heck is she doing on the challenge? And why isn't she on the page? So tell us about Pinterest.
So Teresa Rose is one of the few people I know who actively works at Pinterest marketing, in the sense of actively exploring it and learning about the platform and testing things. She has a course called Pin Power Traffic, I believe is the name of it, that is related to Pinterest marketing. So we had Teresa come on to Real Talk last week with myself and RJ, and we were talking prior to the event, and she agreed to actually come in and teach the portion of the challenge where we're talking about Pinterest.
Matt, you were talking about Teresa Rose, and then all of a sudden, the feed cut. Is this the power of Teresa Rose? Can she just cut your feed like that when you mention her name?
So, as an added bonus, something that we haven't even included on the sales page, probably should, Teresa is going to come in and teach Pinterest marketing for all of you guys related to Etsy. I think that's pretty cool. Like, she has a course that's over $500 if you're to purchase it, and you're going to get a full day's training with her about Pinterest marketing.
It's a very good course. And we got access to Teresa Rose live video.
Yep.
Is the Teresa Rose portion going to be available after the challenge?
It is not. No. Okay. So she's coming in to help us out, but it's, obviously she has her own courses and everything else. Like, I don't think it's fair for us to sell a portion of her course. Take good notes. All
right. Now, what about something that I've heard about this, and I've actually seen it because I'm in the private Facebook group because I'm taking the challenge. You got some pre-challenge prizes.
So we're trying to do as much as we can to incentivize people to take action. And so one of the things we were talking about prior to all of this starting up was, like, how do we get people really motivated and fired up to do things? So we're trying to incentivize you guys to take action. So one of the ways we can do that is we can give you guys little prizes. So for example, there was some homework that we put up into the challenge group. And for the people that actually went out and did the homework and proactive and did the work and followed through with our instructions, there was a drawing and we gave away some Starbucks gift cards. So we're going to be doing stuff like that throughout the challenge. Plus, at the end of the challenge, we're going to have some big prizes that are going to be given away. It's going to be based on feedback from you guys. It's going to be related to people that interact the most in the group and help out the most. But we're giving away an iPad Pro plus access to our Black Friday boot camp. It's probably about a $1,700 value. We're giving away a $500 Shirtly product credit. So like instead of spending $500 with Shirtly, you're going to get $500 from them for any product that you guys want to run through their shop. We're also going to give away access to the Etsy crash course. So that's Jay and Dion's course. It's the first course I ever. Hey man, we got to get through this. Like it's 4:16. We've already been on longer than I expected to. So we got to get through all this stuff. If you go to the sales page, so if you go to the link that Jacob posted in there, you'll see all of this information in there. We do have to update the prizes because that's not on there right now. But there's some really cool prizes that you can win just for being in the challenge and taking part and doing the things that we ask you to do. Right. So like literally, you're getting paid or you're getting an opportunity to win something for doing stuff that's going to benefit you, right? I think that's pretty cool.
So we got the iPad Pro, we got access to the Black Friday boot camp. That's prize number one, right? First prize.
That's prize number one. Yeah. So
second
that's a
prize, $500 Shirley credit. It's like cash money, right?
Yep.
All right. What was the third prize? You're going so fast. I didn't even
You get the Etsy. We're still figuring out this one a little bit. I know for sure part of it will be the Etsy crash course. So it's Jay and Dion's course. It's a $249 course. You'll get access to that. That is actually the course I use to train my VA in how to do things on Etsy properly.
And it worked.
Yeah, my VA does all of my customer service. She builds all my listings. She saves me a ton of time.
We're going to talk about virtual assistants in the course topics.
We'll touch on virtual assistants. It'll be a day that we talk about it. It's going to be something that we cover. It's not probably going to be something super in depth, but we are going to cover it.
Anything that we missed?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty in depth, Jacob.
All right, Matt. We'll give people 1 minute to ask questions. It's a live call. You have a question. You have 1 minute to ask the question. And if Matt thinks the question is worthy, he may not answer it, probably, because he's a nice guy and he likes to answer questions. So if you have any questions, ask them. Otherwise, we're going to end it. So right now I've got minutes at a timer because it's the middle of the minute right now. So give me a second here. Ask a question, we'll set the timer, no problem. In the meantime, any tips to get people's questions, memory, job?
No, the only thing I will say, like I mentioned earlier, the course is going to close on the 29th. And we've actually, for the first time, we're going to cap the number of entrants that we're going to allow into the course. So we're going to hold it to 700 entrants, which I do think that we will hit before the 29th. So if you guys are thinking about it and you're serious about it, you should definitely take the leap now. I'm also gonna, I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit here too. We're going to put out on Monday a really, really cool promo to incentivize people to sign up. That it's going to actually add more value into the course. I'm not going to get into what it is, but I can promise you that you'll be excited. There's some really cool items that are going to be added, and you're going to want to sign up before Monday or on Monday. I guarantee it, because yeah, it's going to be a cool little promo. I'm very excited, but anybody that's already signed up will have access to it as well. So we'll make an announcement on Monday, but you're going to want to sign up before Monday for sure.
Where'd you get these cats from?
Cats?
You said you got a cat in the bag. You're going to release it on Monday. There's something coming.
That is I am not a cat person. In fact, I don't think anybody here is a cat person. I think we're all dog people. All of us have dogs.
I have a cat, thanks for asking, and a dog.
You also have some ducks.
Well, no, we have chickens. The chickens are no longer
that's right.
They go to the chicken resort. They're no longer here anymore. But we did have chickens. The minute is up. No additional questions except Nabil says, thanks, guys. I had contact Etsy, but no reply at all. So I'm going to answer the challenge, and surely I'll get the account with your guys' help. Question.
I have no pull with Etsy at all. I wish that I did. I wish that I had the ability to promise that, Nabil. So I can't promise it. If you want to sign up, like by all means, go ahead. But if you feel more comfortable waiting until you get that account cleared up, I understand that as well.
Okay, Matt, we're going to wrap it up.
We good? All right, buddy.
So this is Matt Sheeran is one of the 4 main teachers of the 30-day Etsy challenge. I'm hoping the other come on for a one-on-one. We're going to have a group call.
I'm sure that they will, Jacob. They'll probably have to do it a little bit shorter time frame. Their schedules are a little bit busier than mine, but I'm sure they'll come on for you.
I hope they do. But, I mean, really, I want to get to know who's teaching this course because it's pretty amazing. You guys are all like superstar sellers with tens of thousands of sales, in some cases monthly. Last night, I found out Jay's got more sales than he told us about.
Jay has a lot of sales, for sure.
70,000. It's crazy.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Please, if you're watching the recording, because live is about to wrap up, share everywhere. And if you have any questions, you can keep typing them in the comments, even after for watching a recording. Continue to ask questions, no problem.
Good
Matt,
deal.
thanks for coming on. And,
thanks, Jacob. Have a good one.
Enjoy having a cat.
All right, buddy. Bye.
That was Matt Sheeran, guys. I'm going to end the broadcast now. So this is the end of it.